Welcome again to another episode of Core Discussions. We are going to be doing another top 10. Thank you again for tuning in and watching our episodes. If you haven't and this is your first time watching, my name is Legacy. I am the host / moderator of this fine podcast.
And my name is Max. I'm the social media coordinator, and I run the Facebook and Twitter pages, which is at Core Discussions. Simple enough. And I also made this beautiful T-shirt that our moderator Phil is beautifully demonstrating. There'll be some more designs coming soon, so stay tuned for that too.
I am Bobby D3. I do not have any social media, but
I'm Ian Catan. Sports are not my specialty, but I'll be here for the ride. I'm an editor. I do a bunch of behind-the-scenes work, so if you see anything that's really awesome, it probably was me.
I'm Vitamin J. I'm just here to give my opinion and give some hot takes on some overrated athletes.
All right. So, Vitamin J just said we are doing overrated athletes. In case you don't know, we do a top 10s list. Everybody submits to me several lists. There's two people who aren't here that did submit the list, Josh as well as the Mountain. Work and stuff happened, so they just ain't here. Like I said, they give me a top 10. I rank them. They rank them 1 through 10. Number 1 gets 10 points. Number 10 gets 1 point, kind of in order. I add it all up. Today we are doing overrated athletes. And I want to clarify on what we're talking about when we're doing overrated. Because some people take overrated as overhyped or overvalued. No, overrated. As in, people actually have to talk well of them. So Sebastian Telfair is not an overrated athlete.
And so I also want to qualify, even though we say overrated, we're not saying they aren't good players. We're saying people treat too highly.
Yes, because there are some players that have some great legacies. We're just saying the way people talk about them is better than what they actually are. This list, actually, there's 11 on there because there was a tie at our number 10 spot. So just kind of showing you that we have a lot of different, there's quite a bit of opinions. I believe I had over 35 different athletes. And again, so as Vitamin J said earlier, it's overrated. Not overvalued, not overhyped, overrated, as in you have to be rated. Sebastian Telfair is not overrated because nobody rates him highly. He's overhyped, he was overhyped, and we will probably do that podcast in a future time, but overrated.
Ryan Leaf, no. Jamarcus Russell, no, because they weren't good. They were just, again, overhyped. So
yes.
They're not included in the overrated category. People have to have a positive opinion of their play to be counted here.
Mm-hmm. And
some of these players may be in the Hall of Fame, and some of us may think they don't belong there.
Yes. And also, just because we're saying they're overrated doesn't mean we think they suck. Like, listen to our argument. We're just saying, because there's going to be a couple that are rated very highly. We don't think they suck. We just think the level they are put at is just higher than what it should be. Okay? And, at the end, let us know your opinions about this. This is kind of a fun one to do. I always kind of enjoy this, these ones, because it's, so much, difference of, where we all come from and how we all see the sport. And we all see sports differently. Yep. So do understand that. All right, gentlemen, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, we have 11 coming in. Can't believe we're already starting off like this. Coming in at 10th place, there's a two-way tie. I'm going to hit the first one. I'm going to let you go on this. Max, it was your number 2. It is Drew Bledsoe.
Well, I would just say this. How many points did he get?
9.
I would just say this to start. I know he's not really talked about much anymore with the younger people besides being known as the guy who Tom Brady replaced. But I think the people have an opinion of him as a pretty decent to solid quarterback during his time in his NFL career. And for him to be known as anything but a garbage quarterback is a shame because he was not good at all. And I have many. I love doing stats, so I have plenty of different stats to show this. He was 32-71 versus winning teams. That is terrible. And his passer rating in those games was 71.2, which again, even for the time he played, was terrible. His passer rating in games against winning teams was lower than Vinny Testaverde, Gus Frerotte, Jim Harbaugh, among other players that played in this era. His passer rating against top 10 defenses, passing defenses, was 67.7, Again, that's total garbage. He had 115 touchdowns to 171 turnovers. Again, that's not very good. That is a lower passer rating than players like Scott Mitchell, Vinny Testaverde, and Jeff Blake, among others. His passer rating in the red zone was among the worst I've ever seen. I've looked at over 140 quarterbacks, everyone. I tell you, when I say I like to do stats, I like to do stats.
ESPN, just give him a call. He has all these stats for these quarterbacks. Just give him a call, ESPN.
His passer rating in the red zone is lower than David Carr, Tim Couch, Jake Plummer, Elvis Gerbach, Kerry Collins. And I feel like Drew Bledsoe's reputation is better than all the players I've mentioned. So I feel like people need to take a look at him and see that he's among one of the worst quarterbacks I've seen when I've done this. I didn't hold his opinion before I looked at these stats, but after seeing them, like I said, I've done over 140 quarterbacks for most of these stats that I look at, and he ranks probably in the 120s on most of them.
The fact that you mentioned Elvis Gerbach, who like 99% of NFL fans will not know.
Yeah, exactly. If you're interested, he was also 14-19 in primetime games with a 71.3 rating.
I will give him, like he said, he has 251 touchdowns, 206 interceptions. Not a good touchdown to interception ratio. Especially when offense was starting to get better and better during his era.
Among his peers, like during the 90s, Brett Favre. I mean, of course, he's not close to Brett Favre, Steve Young, anyone like that. But he should be known, or he should be thought of as being in the Vinny Testaverde tier of quarterbacks. In fact, I would probably take Testaverde over him.
So you're telling me he's nothing like the legend Chad Pennington.
No, Chad. I will give you Chad Pennington is better than Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah, I got nothing else for Drew Bledsoe because I didn't even think of him. He didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
I will also, if you want to remember it, especially if you watch the Brady Six, great documentary about six quarterbacks taken before Tom Brady.
Won't watch it.
So I believe he was one of the highest paid quarterbacks at that moment when Brady was drafted, because I believe he just signed like $100 million. It
was a big deal.
It was like a huge contract. That's why it was also big that Brady took the starting job over him, because the year Tom Brady was drafted, he just signed a huge contract. I don't have as low of an opinion of him because I am a Patriots fan. I do give him credit for that Super Bowl. Though they lost to Green Bay, they got trashed to Green Bay. I will also give getting the team there and I kind of also didn't think the stuff was in place for him to be as successful.
I know Patriots fans everywhere are very grateful for him getting injured and allowing Tom Brady to start.
Mm-hmm. Also, the 2001 AFC Championship game, Brady did not play. It was Drew Bledsoe that beat the Steelers. Fun fact, that was actually, I believe, Belichick's first time beating Bill Cowher in a game, period. So that was kind of big. So, yes, Mo Lewis, shout out to you because it started the legacy. Though I do not advertise people get injured, but it changed the trajectory of the career.
Thanks, Mo. Thanks.
Yeah, but, it did great wonders for that hit. But that was also a big moment, and he did actually have something to do with the championship game of playing that game. And there was a lot of it was crazy because as people you look back, there was a lot of controversy to Tom. Now you don't think of it, but at that point there was a lot of controversy to Tom Brady keeping the starting job over Drew Bledsoe because Drew Bledsoe was the big guy.
He shouldn't have been a name. I'm telling you, the dude is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been no controversy when Tom Brady took him. It should have been oh, good, finally, a good quarterback's in there.
Yeah. Also at number 10, coming in with 9 points, was voted on second by Josh. Can't believe this guy made it. Talking about Drew Bledsoe, the guy who came in and backed him up was Tom Brady. Seriously? I wish he was here to defend himself because this is an atrocious. Really? What is your argument at this point?
Now, Phil,
let
me see.
Who put him on the list? Who put him on the list?
Let me tell you.
Josh did it.
Josh.
Phil, let me see if I can formulate his argument.
No. Let me tell you what your argument is. You're a hater and you hate Tom Brady.
Phil, let me finish.
I mean, that's of course part of it.
Say, Tom Brady's the best winning quarterback of all time. There is no debate. If you're going about pure talent-wise, people say he's the greatest, but to me, he's not the best talent at quarterback.
Oh, no.
Not even Peyton Manning. It's probably Aaron Rodgers is the best talent I've ever seen play quarterback. not the best quarterback. Peyton Manning is still the best quarterback to
Aaron
me.
Rodgers for the regular season,
Regular
at least not for postseason success. But I mean, again, that isn't necessarily because of him, but
Yeah.
Now, let me ask this argument, folks. That people say, some people try to say Tom Brady is the best talent they ever seen at quarterback, which is just unequivocally not true to me.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I'll agree. Talent-wise, no, Tom Brady is one of the worst quarterbacks talent-wise because a lot of it is up here. Is because he does not have one of the strongest arms ever to play. He is not mobile, though. His mobility is underrated and's gotten better. I'm not saying it's great. It's better than what some people give it for, and his mobility is better in the pocket.
Well, Tom Brady is the best at maneuvering in the pocket.
What about his?
Outside of pressure
Oh yeah,
and
no.
into the pocket. He's not going to run around, but the way he sees pressure steps up.
The elite QB sneaks. The QB sneaks.
I would give him, outside that 1 year with Bernard Parler towards ACL, he stayed relatively healthy his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the best thing about Brady, I don't think is overrated. I can't stand him, but I can't deny his greatness. The best thing about Brady is he's not the most talented. I mean, even if you look at other positions like receiver, Jerry Rice isn't the most talented. He's the best, but he's not the most talented. But
Brady is like the best at executing the game plan.
Yeah. He's the most consistent quarterback down to down there's ever been.
I will say, if I need a fourth quarter comeback, I'm probably going to choose Tom Brady or Peyton Manning again. Those two are the only two guys I would choose.
Yeah.
You want comeback numbers? Hold on.
Yeah, and
I know Brady and Manning are in the tops.
I would have also agreed with people of if, like, maybe I think the argument used to be like back in like 2012. If you wanted to call him overrated, I would have kind of seen your argument. But before he won these last four, I think there was an argument. Before he went to Tampa Bay, I would have heavily disagreed, but I could have seen people more say it because, it's Belichick. But now that he's gone to Tampa, won in Tampa as well, it's kind of like, well, no, he had.
So Tampa had a stacked team of offensive talent. I'll give Tampa that. I would say people say that if you put a certain quarterback on the Patriots, they would win the same amount. I disagree. I think only a few quarterbacks could do that. It'd be like
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, I can see winning to 6. Aaron Rodgers, I can see winning 6 in a Bill Belichick system because Belichick just coaches better than anyone else.
But if you put Garoppolo in there,
they ain't winning 6. If you tell me to put Matt Ryan or Ken Roethlisberger, Eli in the gym,
he's not winning 6 or 7.
They ain't winning 6. They'll probably win maybe 2, 3 at most. They're not winning the same amount as Brady. Only a few could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would think if you would swap them.
Put Joe Montana in there too. Mm-hmm. Steve Young.
Yeah. It's a very select few. Like Brett Favre, he's not winning 6. He will turn over the ball somehow in the course of the game.
Belichick won't put up with that crap.
He would have crucified him.
I love Favre, but the turnover.
He would have crucified him.
I don't think Brady's overrated, but if some people try to say he's the best talent-wise, then he's overrated in that aspect. If you try to argue that,
because I was gonna say, it's a mentality. And it's his mental. He's one of the best pre-snap quarterbacks.
Next, you had the comeback number between Manning and Brady.
Yeah, I would do it this way. Peyton Manning has 54 game-winning drives. He has 54. He only failed in game-winning drives 26 times. Tom Brady's at 53 times he successfully did it. 32 times he didn't. Those are two of the best.
I had to choose a comeback. Those two.
Yeah, those are the top two.
Yes, and here's the one thing I will say. Even though I am one of the biggest Brady homers, and I will defend him to the end of the day about he's the greatest quarterback or the greatest football player to ever step on a football field. I do think some of the criticism Belichick is getting now that people are trying to make it out to be like Belichick, that it was all Brady and none of Belichick. Like, look,
breaking news: Tom Brady just retired.
What?
That day.
For real?
For real?
Yeah, it's reported on Road World.
Wow, yeah, Tom Brady retiring. Wow, breaking news on the pod, guys.
It just happened while we were talking about Tom Brady.
See in the
What happened?
Hall in 5 years.
He actually retired. Good. Oh my God. Yo, hold on. I have something for this.
Wow. I'm shocked.
Give the respect he deserves. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. You guys spent about a nanosecond
Yeah.
discussing his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Now the Bucks will go back to being 500.
Mediocre.
Unless Aaron Rodgers goes there.
Yeah.
Unless Rodgers is going to Denver to join the OC.
He probably is.
All right, Phil. So I guess
They said that Rodgers and Devontae Adams could go to Denver. I'm like, but they have like a top receiver core already. Like, who would
Rodgers
leave?
has to be traded, so I guarantee you one of those receivers will get
I
traded.
think Devontae
Yeah.
Adams will go to Oakland to play with Carr because him and Carr like.
No, he's gonna follow.
No,
Rodgers.
he's following Rodgers.
Oh, he's following
pretty much
Rodgers, dude.
stated.
He's
I
following
think when they go
Rodgers.
to the Broncos, they'll probably trade Jerry Jeudy because they just signed the other two receivers to a contract.
Man, I like Jerry G. I would love to see him with Rodgers.
Mhm.
But like I was saying before, the one thing I'll agree is this whole year, ever since Brady won with Tampa Bay, and again, if you ever see my Twitter or Facebook, they've crapped on Belichick a little bit much and made it seem like Tom Brady just carried Belichick. Like, okay, the 1st and 6th Super Bowl, gotta be real about it. Like, let's be real about what won it. Yes, Brady had the mentality, and I think he has a lot to do with Belichick's success because Belichick was not a winning quarterback, does not have a winning record without Brady. But let's not act like his defense and coaching systems. I felt those two were a great pair. That they were a match made in heaven. They're like a Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich they were a match made in heaven of two great players, great people that had the same mindset of winning matters. Brady's like, I'll put the coach and the team above myself, which was the perfect thing for Bill Belichick. So that part where people have given Brady like 90% of the Patriots' success, I'm like, let's calm down on that.
Any minute now, we're also going to get a notification about Gronk retiring now that Brady decided.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
And Phil, the Bill Belichick disrespect should stop because he took a rookie quarterback-led team to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
He won a game. He won a game only throwing 3 passes.
Yep.
They won the game with throwing 3 passes.
So, like, let's calm down a little bit on that.
All of us but Joshy don't think Tom Brady's overrated. But, he put it number 2. It's on the list.
Yep, it is
and
what
it
it
forever
is.
will be on the list, Philip. Your guy, overrated.
Oh, my God. Your guys would be overrated if anybody even rated them highly.
My favorite players are one of the most current favorite players, most disrespectful.
That should be another one. Disrespected athletes.
That could be another one.
All right. So we're going to go. The next place is also a tie. Coming in number 8 with 10 points apiece. Dang it, this person was also coming in at 8 with 10 points is Tony Romo, was voted on by Josh.
Number 1.
He voted him number 1?
Yeah. No.
Well, I would say Cowboys fans do like to say Tony Romo was like, a top 5 quarterback during his time. I don't think he was.
So during the numbers, statistically, yes, he was. But
I'd probably put him top 5
wise,
no.
Well, during his time, you got Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Big Ben, Drew Brees. Did I say Drew Brees or I say?
No, Drew Brees is better anyway. So
yeah. Well, so during his era, he just so many other great quarterbacks. For some fans to say he was in that same class, I'm going to disagree.
I think Tony Romo is better because a lot of fans nowadays think differently. I think Tony Romo is better than Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
yes.
I think
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I would also. I felt Tony Romo would sometimes be an example of where like that whole thing, numbers never lie. Yeah, that's true, but numbers can be deceiving because a lot of people would bring up his game-winning drives. But if you remember, the big thing of he's clutch because of his game-winning drives. But if you remember watching those Cowboys, he threw a lot of costly interceptions at worst times. 3 straight years, the Dallas Cowboys were in win-and-go-home games. All 3 of those years, Tony Romo did not play well and each one of them, they lost to the formerly known Washington Redskins, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. Each one of them, the New York Giants and the Eagles, he threw a costly interception near the end of the game. The Washington game, they just blew him out. No, it's the Eagles they blew him out.
Won 44-6.
Okay, but the Washington and Giants one, he threw costly interceptions at the end of the game. Even that Giants year, I remember Giants beat him twice. The first game, he also played bad and had some costly interceptions. Like, he's thrown interceptions at the worst time possible. That's why I've always said his clutch stuff is highly like suspicious because if you really look at when it counted.
I don't know if we're talking about him, so I'll talk about him now. You said that he's an example of numbers don't always numbers can fool you into thinking someone's good. Well, I actually think Tony Romo was good, but Kirk Cousins is the king of numbers are deceiving because his numbers, I look at them, they're the top mark. But again, we're not talking about him.
What I would say what is not overrated about Tony Romo, his dating game.
Okay, if we talk about Cousins later, I'm gonna bring up more stuff.
So that's one thing you gotta get Tony Romo respect for is the dating he's done. That's not overrated.
No, but outside of that, I will say Tony Romo for his playing, he was very efficient. He had high yards per pass. His completion percentage was always very high, so I think he was pretty good. But whenever he screwed up, it was always at the worst time.
Also, he was one of the more unclutch quarterbacks in my opinion. He just found a way not to be clutch.
Yeah. I will also say one of the best commentators. Great job.
Great commentator.
The one thing,
unlike some other people,
one thing he needs to do sometimes is let the situation breathe. I always have to fill in every second by talking.
But yeah, I really didn't think Tony Romo would be on the list, so I got really.
Well, Josh apparently doesn't like some good quarterbacks.
Yeah, okay. I think he's good. I just felt people overrated his clutch when
they
brought the drives.
They always overrate Dallas quarterbacks.
They kept talking about how clutch he is in game one. I'm like, no, look at when he's throwing some of those worst times and his playoffs. All right, so the next one, it was only voted on by me at number 10. It was my number one. It is probably a surprise to most people. It is the human highlight reel, Dominique Wilkins. Wow. All right, this is why I think he's overrated. All right, and this is not really more to like the common fan. I think a lot of NBA players overrate him. When the top 50 list came out, a lot of people thought he should have been on it. I disagreed. Does Dominique Wilkins put up stats? Yes. My criticisms to Dominique Wilkins is this. He never reached a conference championship game. Ever got the conference championship final in any of his years of playing. I have to hold that against you because I hold that a bar of like in the NFL, it's different because it's more of a team game. In the NBA, when you're a star, you need to, if you're telling me he's one of the greatest players ever, you need to be able to get to a conference championship game. You need to figure it out. All right. Over and over, I felt in playoff moments, he didn't always step up. His numbers were good, but he didn't push them to that next level that I think a lot of people put it to like this disrespect that Dominique Wilkins wasn't top 50. I mean, top 75 probably. I felt he's a scorer, but he lacked it on defense. I think a lot of his teams sometimes trying to look for him, he just didn't show up. And that is really my biggest criticism of really when it comes down to how highly esteemed he's held and this overlooking through a lot of players that he should have been on the top 50 list. I don't think he should have been. Top 75, yes. Top 50,
top
no.
75 without a doubt.
No, I think he was a great scorer and he can do highlights. But I think when you need him and like when it's important and when it's most important and you need him, you got to do more for me. I'm just gonna say you got to do more as an NBA player.
I may not follow him because he did play for Atlanta sports teams, and they have been known not to do well in the playoffs. And it just may have been a curse of playing for the Hawks.
It was, but I still think in that many years, when you're the guy, you should be. I'm not saying you got to get to a finals. Conference championship is. I think you need to be able to get to that at least. That is where my criticism is heavily with how highly he is regarded. You should have been able to get there. Just once. Like, I'm not saying a bunch, but just get there once, and I would have probably be fine with it. But I felt down the stretch he did not do it.
Let me look at his playoff numbers.
They're good. He just didn't get there.
I will agree, though. NBA, a single player can influence the success of a team more so than football, baseball, and other sports. So if that's your criteria, then I can see why you would think that.
Okay, so he's only made out of the first round. Looks like twice.
It was like two
Three
times.
times. Three
He
times.
did
His
lose.
Three times.
playoffs weren't that great.
He did lose to the 80s Celtics, the 80s/90s Pistons, and
Yeah,
who else did I say? He lost to some of the good teams.
He
he
lost
lost
to
to good teams, but
Detroit.
where again, my criticism is going to be, why were you facing those teams the first round? Oh, it's because you didn't. You were probably a low ranked seed. The NBA, you have the power to put yourself in a better seed. He also was only one time first NBA team. Granted, again, I understand he did play with Bird, so it was in the '80s. Probably hard because Bird probably had
Yeah,
one of
he
those
ain't getting
spots
that with Bird.
locked up. You're not getting over there. But to the level, and again, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's not a top 25, 75 player, but his limited playoff success, I have to criticize how highly esteemed he's held.
I mean, guys, he's a North Carolina legend. He did go to Washington, North Carolina for high school. Let's give him some credit.
All right. We can go to the next
He
one.
did. He did give him credit. He's just saying he's not as good as.
I'm saying he's a North Carolina legend.
All right.
All right. We're going to go to number 7. This was voted on by 3 people. I'm actually a little surprised.
Finally.
3 people. This one is probably going to be another shock to that made it on the list. It was probably one of the highest regarded human beings, known for his overwhelming faith and his pose, Tim Tebow. He was number 5 by Vitamin J, number 7 by Josh, and D3 put him at number 8.
He's only overrated to a
13.
certain group of people. Because some people say he's been blackballed from the NFL based off his beliefs. That's just not true. He's just not a good quarterback.
Yes,
He's
and
not
that's
good
why
enough to play quarterback.
I'm saying his college career is overrated. I'm not talking about
Oh, you're
NFL
saying-
career because he was not good in the NFL. He was overhyped in the NFL for sure, but he was not overrated in the NFL because he wasn't rated highly. I'm talking about his college career is overrated.
Well, if you say he's the best college quarterback, I can see that. But he belongs in the conversation. But yeah, I do say he's not the greatest college player of all time, like some people tout him as.
Vitamin J, I'd love to hear this college stuff.
All right. So,
Where's yours?
okay. So, if you remember Florida football back then, it was some of the most boring football you could watch because it would basically be Tim Tebow would run for about 3 to 4 yards every time, and then he would chuck it, 2 feet, and then Percy Harvin would catch it and then do amazing work. Percy Harvin, I think, was a better reason.
I like how you say
success.
he'll chuck it 2 feet like he's launching
Yeah.
it 2 feet.
Exactly.
Well,
That was
as
why he would
someone,
chuck it up
as
to 2
someone
feet.
who can't throw a football, Jake is an
Yeah.
expert at knowing when someone can't
Exactly.
throw a football.
I can't throw a football at all, and my throwing motion and throwing style probably resembles Tim Tebow's a lot. It's just very, very throw ducks, and now Tim Tebow can throw better than me, obviously, but he was not a good
And
passer.
Jacob is correct. He's not far off. His yards per carry was 4.3.
Exactly. It would just be like it would be chunk like a little bit at each time. And obviously he had a good college career, but it was just I think it's highly overrated for how people how good people think he is. People think he's like top 5 college player all time. I highly disagree with that.
I will agree. That team was very boring, but we should get a documentary on that team because you had Tim Tebow, the preacher boy. You had Urban Meyer, who was a scummy person. Aaron Hernandez, nothing more
We know
to
what he
say. The Pouncey brothers that are characters in themselves.
Speaking of Aaron Hernandez, they had a feeling that he was doing stuff back then, and people like Tim Tebow would like excuse it just because he was good at football. And so
I mean, that happened to me. Hernandez
Tebow, I know. Well, I mean, it's of course though. Yeah. I'm just saying.
But that was on Tebow. That was more on Urban because
Urban Meyer doesn't care how you are character wise. Obviously, from what we've seen this season in the NFL, as long as you're good at football, he will put you on there. He doesn't care if you murder people. He don't care if you're racist. He will put you on his team if you're good at football.
Yes.
I will also say one of the things I think Yes, I'll agree. I don't think he's one of the greatest. Like, if you tell me he's the greatest college football player of all time, no, I do not.
If you look at his if you look on paper, the accomplishments, you could argue it, but watching him play, it was not very impressive to me.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest,
Yeah.
but I will give Tebow, I think, as a leader, because you do have to go to when they won the championship, when he won it the second time, but when he was actually the guy, junior year, that speech he said at Ole Miss, and the fact he said that, and then they ended up winning, I think that also has helped propel his legacy because he said that. We might be talking about some other people who said stuff that propelled their legacy, but later. But
Well, I'm not gonna say he's a great motivator. There ain't no denying that he's a great figure. He'll probably inspire you to do some good deeds out there.
I think he's a fantastic person, and I think he gets a bit too much crap for his religious beliefs. If you agree with it or not, it doesn't matter to me. I think that he actually lives it and believes it, and as far as I know, isn't a hypocrite with it like so many other people are. So at least he seems to have character in that regard.
Sure, he doesn't use it as an advantage of like I'm using it to gain an edge.
And he
legit did,
and he doesn't seem to be I'm a religious person, but yeah, he comes out and does the opposite. So he seems to have the character. So I like that about him, but.
It's just his talent around him at Florida heavily masked his inadequacies at quarterback.
He was not very talented. Besides that, running the football.
So,
I mean, I think he was a better college is a different throwing style that I think like his style got away because he did have a pretty good completion.
Because but you could be a bad quarterback and still put up decent stats, and like bad in terms of like NFL talent and still put up decent stats. You got like Pat White and Tim Tebow.
Oh, you forgot one person. Hold up, you forgot one person because you forgot also Riley Cooper.
Oh yeah. I'll fight every bleep here. Yep, Riley Cooper. Yep.
Eagles legend. Eagles legend.
There really does need to be a documentary on that team. There really does.
Where Breaded Spikes was like one of the cops.
But basically, on that whole team, Tim Tebow was the only good character there. Everybody else is like,
It was a goon squad, man.
I don't know Percy Harvin. I don't know. I can't remember his attitude in Florida.
No, I think he's fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, he's probably fine.
He was, but who knows? Behind the scenes.
I know. I mean, he always suffered through the migraine issue, so it probably didn't help.
So good stuff. Shout out to Legend. I mean,
the only other quarterback that I'd put in college, in terms of college career, that's close to Tebow and overrated is probably like Johnny Manziel. That'd probably be up there. But.
Oh, Johnny Manziel highly overrated college career. It was not a first round talent.
But I put Tebow above Manziel because he actually accomplished a lot more than
Tebow
Manziel.
Won a championship, 2 championships.
Yeah, he won 2 championships. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, number 6 is again gonna be. It's probably gonna be one of our more it's pretty controversial. Coming in with 14 points, only 2 people voted for this person. It was Vitamin J's number 1. It was my number 7. Good thing somebody's not here because he would probably be mad pissed. It is going to be Kobe Bean Bryant.
Whoa.
14.
Whoa. First of all, I know Josh agrees with me. Kobe's one of our favorite players of all time. Josh and I both agree.
That's cool. One of Max's favorites, Kevin Garnett. I don't think he's going to put him as his top player.
How dare you say Kobe Bryant is overrated?
He is.
I would not tolerate this slander.
Go ahead, Jacob.
Kobe Bryant is overrated because people put him in the conversation with Michael and LeBron. He's not that guy. He's nowhere near that guy. He's not here's Michael and LeBron in one galaxy, and Kobe's a few parsecs away from that.
Parsecs. Look at that Star Wars reference.
Eons away from that. Well, Star Wars uses the term parsecs wrong. But yeah, so Kobe, his whole deal, he didn't involve his teammates. He was a pure volume scorer. And yes, he is one of the all-time greats, like probably top 15, but nowhere near. He does not touch top 5. He's not even the best. He's not even top 15. He doesn't make top 5. He's not even the best Laker all time. That's Magic.
Now, Bobby, I'll let you get your piece in, but let me just say, as far as being included in the LeBron Michael Jordan debate. If people include Kobe in that, I do disagree with that. I do not think Kobe was on the level of MJ or LeBron. He's in a separate category. He should not be included in that discussion. Hold on, Myra. I see you ready now. Rest in peace to Kobe.
Okay, so that's another thing as to
one of the best of all time in that debate. I kind of disagree with that.
That's another reason why people are gonna probably disagree is because unfortunately he passed away like 2 years ago. So that's one reason. But once Shaq left, the Lakers were terrible. They
But
didn't
that's
make the
not
playoffs
Kobe's
first year.
fault. The roster was
No,
terrible.
LeBron
Yes,
took
Vince
scrubs. LeBron took scrubs in '07 to the
He had
finals.
two
While
All-Stars on that
Kobe,
team, and Larry Hughes and Big Z, two former All-Stars.
you
Kobe had
are you
so much fun.
seriously saying Larry Hughes
He's better than
and
Vince Carter.
Zydrunas
Lamar Odom also played with him, and Lamar Odom was better than Larry Hughes. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm not going to have this Smush Parker be discussed.
Anyway, LeBron took a bad Cavs team to the finals while Kobe was
And he
losing in
played
the
in
first
the
round.
inferior East during that
He
time.
took him. Now the Pistons were really good, and he beat the Pistons.
On the downside,
While Kobe was
I am
losing
not going
to
to
the Suns,
tolerate
he lost to the Suns
Kobe
both times.
at
Yeah, then
blasphemy.
Kobe finally didn't. The Lakers didn't get good again until they added Powell.
They got rid of Kwame Brown, Jacob. Look, you see
Hey,
people on memes.
you better be careful when you make fun of Kwame.
Kwame will get
You
you
better
online.
be
He'll
Yeah,
get
careful.
Kwame will vanity search himself
Kwame,
and
I do
find you.
not
He will
support any
vanity
of
search
his
himself.
comments. Leave me out of it. It was all that
Kwame
guy.
had a good career for a player like him, but if you had the opportunity to trade Kwame Brown for Pau Gasol, you're doing that 100.
I'm not. No, I'm not. Why?
Yeah.
I'm not blaming the Lakers for taking the trade. Of course, you take the trade because you want to get better, and Pau Gasol is really good, and they won 2 titles, so that worked out.
I just can't
Even though I
believe they
disagree with Game 7 against the
blasphemy.
Celtics, there were some questionable calls, but
Wow. Oh,
Pau
okay. So
Gasol's
you blame
foot
the
was on the
refs.
ground.
All right.
Whatever.
Where I agree with Vitamin J is I agree 100%. He's not in the LeBron Jordan conversation because he was not the main guy for a great team long enough like these two plus 15 years were both the best guy on one of the best teams throughout their career. They were always the best guy throughout, especially throughout their prime. Where Kobe, I know people always
LeBron's
say, "Oh, he got 5
37 and is still the best guy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he got 5 rings. Remember, 3 of them, Shaq was on that team, and Shaq was like at the was in the most dominant form of his career. Not that Kobe wasn't a great number 2, but let's remember Shaq was the leading and driving force of those team, of those first 3, and that's why that's why he went through it. Now, another knock on Kobe is what record does Kobe hold? Kobe holds only one record, and that's for missed shots. It wasn't even for anything good. So do remember that. I will give him credit. He is the greatest ever difficult shot maker of all time. If that makes sense to most people, most NBA people or people who watch basketball will get what I'm saying.
We'll add to that. But difficult shot does not mean clutch because he's not. LeBron's more clutch than Kobe was.
Yes. I feel
y'all besmirching an icon of the sport.
no. Again,
Icon.
that is part of the problem. Is I feel because Kobe was flashy, and I'm gonna retake.
And he played in LA, and because he played in LA.
Yeah, I'm gonna retake a comment that I said in a previous podcast. I think it was in our top 10 NBA players podcast of why I didn't put Kobe. I'm actually gonna come back on a comment because as I thought about it, and if you hear me out, you'll understand what I mean. Kobe was the face of his generation. I said he wasn't. He was the face of his generation. Kobe was not the best player of his generation, but he was the face of his generation. There's a difference. The best player of his generation was definitely Tim Duncan. Kobe was very much out there with his shooting, and his performance is flashy. I think people misgot the flash for sometimes forgetting about basketball because later in his career, and one of the critiques I will say, as much as people crap on people don't want to play with LeBron, people don't really want to play with Kobe at the end of his career. Remember LaMarcus Aldridge? He wanted to go to LA. What did Kobe say to him? Pretty much, you're going to stand in the corner and wait for me to give you the ball. That was a huge knock on why LaMarcus Aldridge did not want to come to the Lakers and chose the Spurs. I think his career is elevated to stuff of people will say, well, he didn't have Shaq. Well, remember why Shaq wanted to leave that team. All right. He wasn't always the greatest or most easy player to play with at all times.
So
This is
Kobe
all
Bryant
true, and
hard
I'm gonna
work. Kobe
criticize.
Bryant demanded a good work ethic, and Shaq did not have it.
Huh? No,
Kobe
like
had
he
high
wasn't.
standards,
He was
yes.
just. There's a reason Shaq left that team, and also Phil Jackson left, and they had to beg him to come back, which people forget. That one year he wanted to be the guy in the middle of his, and a critique I'm gonna say, in the middle of his prime, that team did not make playoffs. In the middle of his prime,
They made playoffs
and
once.
you're telling me he's top 5? He didn't make playoffs in the middle of his prime with that. So you can tell me all that, but again, I hold my NBA players
Yeah,
to a
he
higher
made
esteem because
playoffs.
if you're in the
Playoffs.
NBA, no, if you're in the NBA, you have more control than an NFL where you can control your team and pivot it. If I'm going to take points away from Dominic Wilkins, I got to be the same. Take points away from Kobe Bryant.
And
The
so he
'06,
only missed the
not a
playoffs
good
for
team.
1 year. Okay,
Yeah, in
1
his
year during
prime.
that
And
prime.
then
But
the
it
2
was in
years
the
after
middle
that, he
of his
lost in the first
prime.
round.
That's why.
They
If
say
it was
prime
at the
starts at
end of his prime, I
27.
wouldn't have cried. But middle, and especially with how I keep hearing that year and then the next year, oh, he should have been MVP. No, the hell he shouldn't have been. No, he should not
No,
have been
yeah.
it.
See, I'm
No,
gonna
the
say
next
no
year
with
he was a
prime talk. Cause
7th seed. He
prime,
was a
no,
7th
no,
seed,
no.
but everybody thinks he deserved MVP. It's like we keep elaborate. I'm gonna quote Nick right here. We keep making his like legacy into something it was not. And if you live through it, and
Exactly.
it's unlike Jordan, where people could say, "Oh, you weren't there for all of Jordan." No. I was there for all of Kobe. I remember this stuff. I was a huge NBA fan.
This is
There's certain
blasphemy.
things
First
about
of
his
all,
career that is misgotten and forgotten. Game 7 versus the Celtics, Kobe did not play well. His numbers might be high, but down the stretch, honestly, Paul Gasol deserved that Finals MVP over Kobe. I know that's a hot take,
Yeah.
but Paul Gasol played better
I'll take
down the stretch than him.
look.
Well, so
You say
Bobby had to
he
have.
missed the
Go
playoffs in
ahead.
his prime. Look, the prime
And
starts
meta.
about 27. They say prime starts about 27.
Who's
It
they?
never.
Who's they? Because that's
That's the
definitely not
general
the case for most
consensus of
players.
basketball. Prime is about 27 to
That's
32.
probably false,
Wait,
but go
is
ahead.
that for basketball?
Yeah, that's right. You're hitting your athletic peak at that point.
For basketball, I would disagree, but that's fine.
Where
And
I
during that
agree,
time, he
because
never
people
missed
said
the
that.
playoffs. Thank you, Phil. See, they say about
Different for
27 to
every
32.
player, but go ahead.
And during those years, he had great numbers. He only missed the playoff at age 26. So he did not miss the playoffs multiple times during his prime. That's a ludicrous statement.
I
He
said
missed
one
it
time.
once. He
One
said one
time
time,
during
and
his
then the next
prime.
2 years he
That's what
lost
I
to the
said.
Suns in the very first round. He couldn't get past the first round until they got Powell.
Okay. If I said multiple, I will take it back.
Just say
And thank you
multiple.
for correcting me. I meant one time during the middle of his prime. Sorry. Keep going, Bobby. I'll let
And
you
to
land.
me, I've never put him in the same category as LeBron and Jordan. I always say he's the second best shooting guard of all time. He's definitely a top 10 player of all time. There's no debating. He is one of
Yeah,
the
we'll
few
see.
truly global icons of the game. There's a
Okay.
lot of
Yep.
legends, a lot of Hall of Famers, but there's very few icons. Again, I still say he's still the best of his generation. You can say Duncan, that's fine. And Kobe Bryant, see, y'all just don't understand the Mamba mentality. That's what y'all really are
I mean,
missing.
I think I saw it first time with Jordan.
Y'all missing the
You guys,
Mamba mentality.
I mean, Kobe essentially is a Michael Jordan 2.0. So his mindset was what Jordan's was.
And when they make a documentary, an 8-part documentary about Kobe's career, y'all be like, he is one of the greatest ever. You'll be like, he's top 10.
no.
They gave us his 8-part documentary like they did Jordan.
Like, I'll agree with you. He is the second best shooting guard of all time.
I agree. I will also say his mentality, because he was one of the hardest workers, I will give him credit on his work ethic, is one of those unmatched and unparalleled. Is he an icon sports-wise? Yes, because across the board, I remember when he passed away, many soccer players were tweeting about it, like foreign soccer players. I remember Lionel Messi, Neymar, all of them. I think it was in Neymar's documentary. They mentioned him in Neymar's documentary. He mentioned Kobe. It was cool. I will proud him out. He was a huge football fan, like soccer football fan as well. But again, icon, yes. That is where I run some issues with his
shooting a paper
career.
ball. We're shooting a paper ball into the trash. You're saying Kobe.
Huh? Yeah.
That's because of Chappelle. That's because of Chappelle's show, not because of
his
Kobe.
generation. People before that were yelling Jordan.
People say Kobe.
And the
Take that
people
shot.
probably before that were probably saying Bird. Like the new kids are probably going to be saying Steph or Curry. They're probably
No,
gonna say
now they say shoot your shot like Booker. Booker's the new one.
And guys, he scored 81 in a game. Are we forgetting this?
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. But then again, again,
Bro.
Kobe was a volume scorer. A volume scorer.
Yeah, we have 4 assists a
There is
game
a
in his
funny
career.
commercial with Kobe and Jalen at a restaurant about the 81 game. That's pretty funny.
Yes, that's
also,
funny.
shout out to Jalen Rose because, like, for somebody who, like, again, not all 81 was scored on Jalen. It was several people, but he's always like really liked the fact he was linked to that and will always embrace it. Like, he's not embarrassed about it. He'll always embrace it at every moment. So shout out for like being able to take that and being like kind of proud of that moment.
What are you gonna do? Get scored on?
Yeah, it is
So
what it
I
is.
would not stand any more Kobe bashing. So I want to go on to the next topic because I'm not going to tolerate any more from
We can
Jake.
keep
I'll wrap it
going.
up for you, Bob. Here's my final thought. Again, if you include him in the Jordan LeBron debate, he's overrated. If you don't, I don't think he's overrated. Is that fair enough, Bobby?
That's fair enough. I'll
The
tolerate.
reason why I put him as the most overrated is just because he's constantly talked about
I do see it all the
in
time.
that
I will agree with
conversation.
that. I do see it all the time.
And also remember that whole controversy when Shannon did not put him in the top 5 and a lot of people got upset because he wasn't in Shannon's top 5, which I also agree with. He's not in my top 10, but we're gonna.
No, he's probably what make my top 10 either. Yeah.
I'm going to disagree with y'all, but go on. Just
All
next
right.
person.